My bad for being gone for so long, and I know usually I'd at least come out with a spring watch list or something like that in order to start off with April and the new season in spring. Unfortunately, there's been too much insanity around the topic today that I kind of want to talk about it and also kind of want to rant about it, because I did talk about this in a previous video, and the fact I somewhat called it does piss me off a little bit. But if you've been on a rock and you don't know anything of what I'm talking about right now, recently JoJo's Bizzare Adventure 7th edition Steel Ball Run recently came out, and this has been probably one of the more hyped parts for JoJo that I have seen, and people really wanted this. When the announcement first came out, all the way back around sometime in January or late 2025 I think it was, I said specifically in my winter recap video, Netflix, you need to do a proper release. You cannot do the same thing you did last time. And what I mean by last time is Stone Ocean, because if you also don't remember, back in 2022 to 2023, the 6th edition of JoJo, Stone Ocean, came out, and they completely messed it up. Because instead of doing the weekly release like most anime would, they went ahead and decided to just release it in batch episodes, essentially giving all 12 episodes of each batch at one time. Now, someone outside of the anime industry or outside of the anime community is probably asking himself, well, why is this so bad? Netflix has already done this with other properties before, and those have done fine. I don't see the initial problem with this. And to be fair, I don't blame those people. If you aren't in the anime community, you don't understand why this could be potentially a bad thing. And most shows actually could survive a batch release because those are usually the thing that people are going to be talking about for a while. But batch releases, when it comes to the anime community, is actually a death sentence. About 4 times a year, there are dozens upon dozens of new anime that actually come out and are released. And a lot of those animes get swept under the rug even when they are weekly releases. Only a very finite of anime actually survive, and some of them in big ways and some of them in their little niches of community that are built around them over the years. And JoJo's is a big enough anime with a big enough history that a weekly episode release would have actually helped it a lot. But when you have batch releases, even for big properties like JoJo's Bizzare Adventure, that ends up getting pushed to the side because people will only talk about it for a few days, talk about all the new anime that's been coming out weekly, and then the conversation dies. Now, some people will like to attribute the low quality of Stone Ocean for the fact that it didn't survive for that long, and I honestly beg to differ on that point. Stone Ocean was fun in its own way, and it's not the worst part of the JoJo series. And I'm not going to tell you which one I think is worst. Do I look like I want to die here? I will stake my claim on this though. Jolene has one of the best theme songs out of all the Joes, and there's no way you're going to change my mind on that. And yes, I do mean even Giorno. So, understandably, when Steel Ball Run was announced, people, along with myself, were begging Netflix, please, just give it a weekly schedule release. You've already done it with many more anime like Sakamoto Days, My Happy Marriage, and many others. Just do it. And even though I called out Netflix, I had the confidence that I've seen them do so many weekly anime releases already, even if some of them might be delayed, that at the very least, they would listen to the fans and actually give them what they want. And for a second, it actually looked like that. JoJo's Bizzare Adventure Steel Ball Run actually released within episode 1, and it came out to super wide acclaim. People loved it, which is understandable. It is a great episode. So much so that people were ranking it over stuff like Frieren and Fullmetal Alchemist. It was at one point the highest rated anime on Now. Now, do I agree with that sentiment? Nah, but it did happen. And for a while there, we were excited. Netflix finally listened to the fans so we could actually sit there and get a weekly JoJo series, especially for one of the most anticipated parts in the entire franchise. Unfortunately, none of us learned history very well because after a week we got nothing, and then it was announced that the part 2 or whatever phase 2 that we're trying to do for Steel Ball Run is going to come out later in 2026. We don't have a date, and we only have one episode. Netflix, what do you mean? I didn't think Netflix could actually come up with a release schedule worse than Stone Ocean. There was no way in hell that I think that they could have come up with something worse than Stone Ocean. I thought batch episodes was going to be the worst situation. Little did I know that it was actually going to be the preferred method. Because at the very least, at least people can consume a full series of something, or at least a whole season of the content, rather than just one episode and have to wait like we are with Steel Ball Run. That is an atrocious release schedule. You had some of the biggest momentum in recent anime history. You had the JoJo's fans behind you, ready to rally behind Steel Ball Run and give it the love that it desired. You had a waging war with the Frieren fans and the Fullmetal Alchemist fans on waging war on what could have potentially been one of the best high-ranked anime. You had all the marbles for yourself on the table, and you blew it. You blew it worse than I think I've seen anybody blow it before. This is worse than the Promised Neverland blow it. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. At least with Promised Neverland, we got a full season of something, and Steel Ball Run will still have the quality because it still looks good. But how do you kill momentum for this so badly? You can somewhat a little bit make excuses for Stone Ocean, right? Netflix was trying new things, adopting new things. They were doing the whole live stream and making more originals for themselves in terms of the anime world. So maybe they were testing new things in new ways and doing batch episode releases for something like JoJo Stone Ocean and already having an audience you can gauge on whether people may like it or not. Fine. Okay, I can see at least the argument for that. We are now in 2026. Netflix recently signed a deal with MAPPA. It is now considered one of the bigger places to actually go for anime. You have one of the best live actions in anime with One Piece. You have good methods. The anime community was at least somewhat livening up to you before you raised your damn prices again. But now this? You decide to do this. After all the goodwill that you have somewhat built up in the last couple of years at Stone Ocean, you wanted to go ahead and do this? What is wrong with you guys? These streaming services is all about people coming to their product and getting it. You could have had at least 3 good months of revenue if you just weekly released it still run like it should. But instead you only have 1 episode to show for it, and don't get me wrong, it's a good, phenomenal, well-paced, well-designed, well-animated episode. But oh my god, you did this? You have completely killed all the goodwill, and now I'm worried about things that might come later. I don't even know if we're going to get it in 2026 because you don't have a date, and unfortunately in the anime community and the anime industry, if you don't necessarily have a date with something, there's a good chance that it might be pushed to 2027. I'm a Tanya the Terrible fan. Do you know how long we've been waiting for Tanya the Terrible? I was a One Punch Man fan. Do you know how long we've been waiting for One Punch Man year after year for both of those properties? I still don't have my Tanya the Terrible. I only recently just got an update for that. Am I going on a tangent? Yes, because I'm a little upset about that, and right now there's a lot of things in the anime community that's making me upset. But this is abysmal. This is atrocious. This is borderline abuse, if I'm being honest. This is borderline abuse. I want to know the logic. I want to know the philosophy. After seeing it with Stone Ocean, seeing the somewhat bad receptions of all the people reacting to you and how they talked about getting mad about you doing batch episode releases, why did you think this was a good idea? People told you what they wanted. They told you how they would consume their show. And if you just did it weekly, people would have been happy. People would have praised you from the rooftops. The JoJo fans would have carried you on their back. But now we have JoJo fans posting memes on almost every single post that I see anime related, talking about just Steel Ball Run and trying to keep that alive for as long as they can. They're doom posting on other posts related to anime. It's not even anime at this point. It's just in general about Steel Ball Run. That's how bad we've gotten. And honestly, in my personal opinion, there's only 2 real logical conclusions I can come to for why this was even a decision. Either Netflix is so adamant on digging their heels on trying to subvert the weekly method for anime that they want to try to do this with the biggest property that they potentially have, or some executive or somebody who can make the decisions on how this gets released just wants to see JoJo's die. Those are the only 2 that I could think of, because I genuinely cannot understand why someone would go out of their way to do this. This is insane beyond belief. Like, even focusing more on the latter with those theories, I have to assume that if they're just doing it to do it, they're just done with dealing with the JoJo franchise at this point. That they just want to either get this thing out or just want to watch it die so they never have to deal with it again. That's the, only conclusion I could come to have somebody do this. Because why would anybody do this? Why would anybody choose to stifle such a big property with such big hype behind it? This could have, again, brought so many people to the platform and you could have made so much money. Instead, people are now just upset that you're doing this. Again, what is the logic? The only way I see this being salvageable at any point is just basically the sooner the better. This new Steel Ball Run Phase 2, whatever they got planned, needs to come out at the very least summer of 2026. We're already in spring, so the best that you could do now is release it in the summertime. Anything after that, I think people are just going to be upset about. The sooner the better that you can release this, the better it might be for you to at least negate something. And don't do one episode like you did before, okay? We don't need any more of that one episode bullshit. Either drop a good amount of episodes, at the very least 6 or something, to satisfy the fans. And honestly, if you don't do that, then I wouldn't be surprised if people just stop caring. This is the main reason why there's so many people that just advocate for just reading the manga and then watching for anime. And I like watching anime. I'm a big anime guy. I like seeing the pretty pictures on screen and seeing the voice actors do their thing. But honest to God, at this point, why would you care? As a JoJo's fans that you've now seen 2 properties get completely fucked now, why would you care? What point is there to care as long as Netflix still has that? You might as well just read the manga, catch up with everything, so at the very least you know what's going to happen, so the releases don't fuck you in anticipation. I mean, at this point, I have waited for so long for all of this stuff to come out, I might just do that. And honestly, I recommend anybody else doing the same.
I'm like so gay.